Well, howdy, everyone. For a second there, I couldn't figure out why I said howdy, but I think someone, yeah, Arter Circle did. I was like, that's not in my usual vocabulary. Oh, okay, well, my little keypad doodad, that's a cool rhyme, that I usually use to change scenes and mute myself and all sorts of cool stuff, is dead. So, yeah, we get to do things manually today. Probably should have checked that one earlier. I've infected you. Oh man, yeah, y'all ever read a book or seen a film based on it called Pontypool about the infectiousness of language and using it as using like a zombie apocalypse where the infection spreads through language as a metaphor for how language can get spread? It's pretty interesting. I'm gonna say it sounds more interesting than it ends up being, but it was still a fun watch. I need to get around to the book. Good start to a live stream. Yeah. Yeah, dude, Pontypool. It's the whole film takes place in a radio studio with some guy on air. Um I don't again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know if the book's the same way. It's very low budget. I think there's like two actors and then the studio. That's it. And the whole thing is done by, getting phone calls in and stuff like that. And it's interesting. There's an actual field of research that study the idea concept of propagation in the same way as an epidemic. Oh, very cool. I wonder if there is any research done in that direction when the person decided to write the book. We got Bertle, Steinips, Damien, Artist Circle, Arrow to the ACL, Leon. Glad to have everyone here. Inky's here. And in the end, some stuff dies out and others just stay as endemic. Yeah, 100%. It's interesting to think about that way, but language is sort of evolutionary in that some things don't evolve as the world progresses and end up dying out to become extinct. Old world words, so to speak. Language has mainly evolved in more of a tree-like manner. See, that's interesting too here, especially modern day. I feel like when we look at language from the last 100, 200 years, it was more linear. And yeah, nowadays it branches out. So many different areas have their own culture, and the language is baked into the culture. It's interesting. Isn't that the same plot mechanic as Metal Gear Solid? The first one? Why don't I remember that? Honestly, all I remember from the first Metal Gear Solid is the reveal at the end. Wow. Dude, that's pretty bad. I remember levels out of it, and I just played it like 3 years ago. I did my second run through to get the invisible suit because I already had the bandana, and I just can't remember what the story was. I remember there was the mech involved and something about the UN trying to force them into a war so they could sell the Metal Gears. I don't remember the transfer of Fox die. Oh yeah, with the Colonel. Yeah, at the okay, yep. I do remember that now. I just needed a spark. That's all. Had a course where the teacher asked us what words we had for animal sounds, and we probably had like 10 languages represented. That's awesome. Language is interesting. You know what's funny too is there's a I think it was a recent comment, but I think it also came off a recent video. And I had called the song interesting, and it was an eclectic track if I remember correctly. And there was a comment, somebody said, in my neck of the woods, interesting is a subversive way to say something's garbage. And I was like, wait, I've heard this before. Language parasites? Dude, is that really a thing? I've never played past the first game, so I honestly have no idea much about the rest. I've seen enough video essays about 2 and 3 to know what they're about, but 4? Actually, I've seen enough video essays to know what 4 is about. I don't know what 5's about at all, though. That's an interesting take. I'm gonna start saying that now. Dude, I love onomatopoeias in other languages. There's some, like you said, it's wildly different. It's very intriguing to see how different cultures create words for different sounds. Because the thing is, in your native language, what you grew up with, the sounds that you're used to hearing or making as a child, it's what sounds right. It's what sounds accurate. But then you listen to another language and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I would never have thought of that. But it's oddly perfect also. And like every language has their own set of perfect sounds for stuff. For the most part. I'm not going to say everything always clicks with me. Japan has some really interesting onomatopoeias outside of their animal sounds. But I'm sure that's similar with American sounds too. You go to another culture, you teach them American onomatopoeias, and they're like, don't quite get it. I was definitely told to call food interesting instead of saying I didn't like it. Yeah. Like, I understand where that comes from. I'm certainly familiar enough with the concept of interesting disguising distaste, but I genuinely do not use it that way. But I'm not going to get upset at anybody who takes offense to me saying interesting because I get it. It's part of some cultures and it's difficult to shake. I didn't know that about. I knew chew was mouse, although I thought it was mouse and not a sound a mouse makes. But I didn't know that about pika. That's pretty cool. But see, an onomatopoeia for something that's really bright and shiny, like we don't really have that in American. At best, it would be like a glimmer, like a ting. Like that would be the sound I would think of something that is shiny, but it's not really an onomatopoeia that we naturally use in our language for it. You can't get. Oh man, see that cock-a-doodle-doo is bizarre because to me it's quite accurate. It's not perfect by any means, but it's accurate enough. If you got the special request I sent over, I think so. Let me check the old list. Yeah, yeah, for the song Tema or Tima. Yep, I got it. It's in there. You're sitting at number 15. So, excluding the 2 week break I'm going to be taking, you probably got about 5 to 6 weeks until we get to it, which I'm pretty proud of. We were at 3 and 4 months at one point in time recently, and we've got the list down to about a month and a half now. And I don't really think it can get any lower than that. 16 people seems to be generally about where the list sits at. The only way I could make it shorter is to go through it faster, and that's wild. I don't know how much faster I can get through special selections. I don't know, Ramona. What did you walk into? Are you looking at the chat? We're just talking about the different sounds and stuff in different languages. A madhouse? Congrats. Uh, I wonder if that's something we're gonna see more of. Um, is just emojis working their way into common language. Like right now, I kind of see emojis. Well, I saw emojis as mostly an internet thing for a while, especially in the late 90s, um, early 2000s with like AOL Instant Messenger. Can't be off topic in a Q&A stream. I mean, technically, no Qs have been asked yet. We are kind of off topic. Well, actually, one Q did get asked, and I did answer it. Thank you, Diggin, for keeping me on track with our Q&A today. The secret technique is always to keep a loophole so that everything is always on topic. What was I talking about though? Oh yeah, yeah, emojis. Like it used to be like an internet thing and now it's everything. Emojis are used in daily chat just for text messages. I wonder if there's going to be a point where emojis break into even more of the mainstream, into a more businessy area. Serious, I think it might be, and we start seeing emojis in books to help tell a story. What is the best band to react to, and why is it Nightwish? Finally, a full rambling stream. I mean, honestly, it's a troll question, but Nightwish probably is the best band to react to. At least for me, in the terms of being a reactor, which I still don't feel like I fully am. I don't think, my reactions take up like 10% of the video, and then the other 90% is, well, I guess technically they're still my thoughts. It's still part of my reaction. I'm just not reacting in real time anymore. Anyways, I just still don't see myself as a reactor. The format's so different. But anyways, as per reacting goes, listening to music, having a thought, telling it, and having people comment back and creating conversation, Nightwish is easily the band that brings the most comments in and is usually the place where I tend to comment back the most. That's a funny way to spell Richelieu. We haven't checked them out in a while. And you know what's bizarre is I can still see their cover art for that album. We only checked out one song from them, I think, very clearly in my head. But I do think Nightwish is the best band to react to. In the small box of best, meaning most engagement, I suppose. Most views, most comments, most conversation. Although that Yes video is taken off, it might catch up to a typical Nightwish video as far as comments go. And as far as me feeling like I have something worthwhile to add on to conversation. I think I've replied to more comments on the Yes video than anything of recent. Even the Annette Nightwish track, I don't think had as many conversations that I felt like I could add to, which surprised me. Nightwish, like I said, is usually a pretty good conversation starter. Yeah, see, there's like the other direction. What is the best band to react to for me would be one that I think I consistently have interesting things to say about. And honestly, I think it's going to be Porcupine Tree. Or just Steven Wilson in general. Aside from the recent one that he did with, I think her name was Nina something, which I found the song just altogether too simple to really dig much into. Porcupine Tree and Steven Wilson always produces interesting things for me to bring up because he's just so thoughtful at tying the lyrics into the music, and that's my bread and butter, trying to find where they intersect and showing you the connection there. The Nightwish Army have probably given up on me. Oh, there it is. It's not Nina. Ninette Yab. I'm curious if they have. I mean, there's got to be enough fans though. Somebody posted up in a Discord server or a Reddit subreddit, and there's be like, no, we must go defend our queen. There's got to be enough people, even if the army as a whole's given up, that I still get a lot of views on those. In fact, let me check real quick because I'll be honest, I don't look at metrics very often. I just kind of put things up. You see, yes is doing rather well. 1,300 views already. That is quite a bit for only being 2 days old. Yeah, not even 1.5. Yeah, see, that Nightwish video did not do as well as I was expecting. I wonder if it just hasn't been shared yet. That would, yeah. That I think that is probably my best Nightwish video to date, at least in terms of what I have to say about it and not being as critical and trying to stick with what they're doing instead of what they're not. It's the time that I've come around to them in a sense. Yeah, Greatest Show on Earth, which was our second to last Nightwish track, which was still from a while ago. This was November 2022. Oh, dang it. Been exactly a year almost between Nightwish reactions. That one took off relatively quickly. 10K in the first day. Oh no, 13,000 in 3 days. Actually, Song of Myself is on track with that. Oh no, wait. I missed a zero. We're at about a tenth of what I would expect around this time for a Nightwish reaction. Which I suppose is a weight lifted. I always felt like, as much as I wasn't a huge fan of Nightwish's music, it was nice to listen to, and I usually had good comments, but I always walked away a bit disappointed. Hey, Vishal, welcome. Um, I could always count on it to being a big analytics video, something to bring in some new viewers. And this one didn't, so, huh. Maybe I should go share it to some subreddit myself. That's probably something I should do in general, though. I do zero self promotion and rely entirely on YouTube algorithm, and that's probably not the best way to go about it. Do you put on any kind of theater makeup for videos? I don't. I should. In fact, right now, I mean, my face is pretty blotchy. I think it's because I just took a shower. Usually, I like to put time between showers and recording simply because it allows my body to regulate. Even like right now, my hair's like super wet, and so it comes off as flat, and I like my hair to have more body to it. So I don't like recording or getting in front of a camera in general too close after a shower. And the blotchy skin is definitely part of that. But I probably should learn. Is theater makeup like the technical term for it? Because I usually think of like newscaster makeup, but I suppose it's all, it's all the same thing. Just terminology at that point. Your hair has a life of it really does. Like right now I have it in this, really hoping that it can stay controlled once it dries. But I mean, as soon as it dries and I take this off, it just I just made that up on the fly. Well, you know what? It got the point across though. I knew exactly what you were talking about. No, Vishal, there isn't a song list. This is a special Q&A live stream. We hit 100 live streams and a lot of subscribers. We broke 33,000. I don't know. This is long overdue, I suppose. We used to do Q&As like every 5K subscribers. And then we just kind of stopped and kind of stopped celebrating the milestones in general. Just a quick little, hey, we passed this community post. Yeah, this is more of a. This was actually something I was worried about. We don't have a lot of viewers in here. Most of y'all are the regulars, and I don't think too many of you have too many questions for me, as we tend to chit chat and you learn about me as in a more natural way. Yeah, a few people are watching. So, I do have a backup plan, and it's music. We'll listen to some music. I have everything set up for that to go. Man, yeah, I see 22 right now. But I do know that Sunday mornings just aren't great for people. When are you streaming the Nier Automata playthrough? So this has been something that's been on my mind for a while. I've been trying to carve out a couple of hours every Friday after I finish recording and putting thumbnails and stuff together. Probably about like 12 p.m. EST to 2 p.m. EST, or maybe 3 p.m. And doing some Twitch streaming. And I don't know what exactly it's going to be yet, but I do want to put some gaming in there. I know some of you have heard about an old project I had where I was going to play every single first-person shooter in release order. I am 8 games through this list. I was streaming them before I did this channel, and I want to return to that. Especially now. No, I don't want to get into that. I'm going to start crying if I do. I do want to get back to that, but I also want to stream near Autonoma because I know a lot of people want me to give my thoughts on both the game and the music. And what was another one? Oh, Disco Elysium. So it's really all about time. And as I continue to add more work onto the channel with the videos, I find less time to do any streaming projects I might have. And one of the things is that finally, I know I promised this for like 2 years now, I'm doing the composition or music theory 101 videos this year. I don't know when exactly. My aim is March. I want to get the playlists taken care of. It's taking a long time to get done with that. I think I only have 2 more years worth of videos, and it should speed up once I hit early 2023s, late 2022s, when I started tagging the genre in the descriptions. I won't have to do any additional stuff, just add it to the playlist. The information's already there. So as soon as I get done with that, though, I will have a nice chunk of my Wednesdays open for other projects, and the very top of that list is Music Theory 101. I don't know how it's going to go yet. My aim was video essay style, writing a script, reading the script, but after doing last year's album of the year and being told that I feel a bit too stilted reading a script, I might try to do a mix of scripted topics and then on the fly descriptions of them. I don't know. We'll figure it out. My outline says it'll be about 12 videos long. We're going to go from everything from the basics of how to read a staff into chord theory, basic chord theory. At least it is Music Theory 101. We'll explore the circle of fifths and kind of that stuff. I don't know if we'll go much past that, but we'll see how the series does after that, and if there's any specific topics people want now that the foundation's been built. What food do you eat during Christmas, and what's your favorite? Well, it's my mom usually does our family's Christmas dinner, but the night prior, that's on Christmas Day. On Christmas Eve, I visit 2 of my grandparents, and we tend to have some sort of sandwiches for lunch at the first grandparents, which I always thought was interesting. But yeah, like cold cut sandwiches. And then at my other grandparents, we have more traditional stuff. Ham and chili. I guess chili's not traditional. But anyways, I really love the meatballs there. And it's a really simple recipe. It's just like frozen meatballs in grape jelly. And probably some barbecue sauce. And it's just delicious. That's probably my favorite. And I know people are like, wait a second, I'm pretty sure you're a vegetarian. I am, except for on Christmas Eve. Um, and then like I said, on Christmas Day, it's meatballs and grape jelly. Yeah, it is. It's so, and it's not even like good meatballs. It's not homemade or anything. It's like frozen meatballs, sodium packed, with more salt and sugar put on top of them. It is terrible for the body, but it's delicious. My French blood is boiling hearing that it's Christmas dinner. I mean, technically, it's not Christmas dinner. It's Christmas Eve meal. There is ham though. There's chili. There's lots of like finger stuff. Um, broccoli, carrots, sliced meats and cheese. My family makes those every Christmas too. Yeah, it's such a simple thing, but it's so good. But then, like on Christmas Day, when my mom cooks for the family, then it's like your traditional stuff, your hams and stuffing, mashed potatoes and gravy. But what's really interesting is last year we went and got Chinese takeout for Christmas. And my mom told me that it was a tradition that she had as a kid in an Italian family of immigrants up in New Jersey that her grandma always went and got Chinese takeout for Christmas Day. And that's what their family did until they moved down here. And so we tried that last year. That was interesting. I don't know that that's necessarily what I would want to do, but it was interesting to do that, I suppose. Chinese takeout on Christmas Day. Any plans to revive the old composition streams? Yes, 100%. Again, time. And that's another thing too, is like if I find a 2 hour window to stream every week, what do I do with it? I do want to stream some games. People want to watch me play some games, but also I want to stream composition again. And how do I balance that out to make people happy? I kind of feel like I would need to find two pockets in a week in order to do both. And time. I need more time. Makes me think about the answer my brother gave me when I asked what he wanted for Christmas. It was time. Yep. Looking forward to the stuff. Where do I upload my compositions? It is on a YouTube channel called Critical Compositions. Real clever naming there. It is linked on my Critical Reactions page all the way at the bottom. It'll say view my other channels or something like that. It's down there. It feels weird to have takeout for it. 100% does, especially since like the whole tradition I think of Thanksgiving meals or Christmas meals or whatever is that you're making something you don't typically make. You put in all this extra effort to create foods that are a little bit more cumbersome or time required than you might have on a usual day. You come home from work, you don't really want to spend 2 hours cooking all these foods, so you make something quicker. And so this is a moment you take to eat something you wouldn't normally prepare. So it does feel a bit weird in that direction for me. The Chinese thing, is that from a movie? I have no idea. Just invent time dilation machine. Sorted. That sounds good. Did I play in a band? I did. I have had. I'd have to locate. I think I have footage somewhere. It is either on one of my hard drives or on some. I think I uploaded it to a personal YouTube channel at one time. I can find it. I was about 23. I played bass in a post-hardcore emo band. Um, and that was it. That died out in my mid 20s. There was a falling out. We all had different ideas of where the band should go, and then people just stopped showing up to practice until it was it wasn't even agreed upon that it was over. It just kind of fell apart, which sucked because I liked that band. I liked those people. Does the Christmas markets exist in the US and America? I don't know what a Christmas market is, but it kind of reminds me of Spirit Halloween for Halloween time, which is a company that rents building space just for primarily the months of late September and then all of October to sell Halloween merchandise, and then they don't come back again. And we don't have that for Christmas time, at least. But I think that's primarily because emo math rock. We did have our lead guitarist was a pretty good shredder though. I wonder. I wonder if he ever gravitated toward mathy ideas. When I stopped talking to him, he was getting really big into, who was that guy that was really big on guitar in like the pop world, singer-songwriter world, in like the late 2000s, early 2010s? I can't think of his name. In Germany, the markets are out in a square, lots of vendors, food, handmade gifts. They're awesome, and we don't have that. Okay. Yeah, that is definitely something we don't have. Michael, welcome. Fling. Oh, I guess there's fling. There we go. Welcome to the chat. I do want to play in another band though. I found out about a an orchestra about a town over. Unfortunately, I don't have the time nor the transportation. John Mayer, fantastic! I'm so glad. I don't have a way to join the orchestra, but I really want to, and I'm hoping I can get that done this upcoming year. I need to do a little bit of refreshing on my trumpet chops, but I know they're pretty small. I do feel bad though, because I feel like the pictures I saw of them from this year, it's like seven trumpets, a couple of flutes, a violin. It's not a very big orchestra, and they're very trumpet dominated. So I don't know. Maybe I do have a violin here. I just grabbed that this year, and my kid didn't quite take to it the way that she wanted to. She was real enthusiastic about it at the beginning and kind of dropped off interest wise, but I figured I'd pick it up. It's tough though, man. I don't know if anyone else has tried violin or if they are a violinist, but it's just very different. Trumpet was my first one. I can't really say it came naturally to me. Piano did though. Bass kind of came naturally to me. Violin just isn't. I don't know what it is. It's like none of my performance foundations are applicable in any way. I'm starting from like the beginning again. Christmas markets sound like a blast though. I wonder if even like as a touristy thing, if we could kick one off around here. Do I collect anything? Um, no. Not really. I used to collect a lot of stuff, and then I became hyper aware of physicality and space, and really began to enjoy emptiness, as you can probably tell from my area here. Just punch the table. Um, Even right now, I have some Blu-rays and DVDs and CDs, but they are in the works of getting up on eBay and being sold here, as I don't do anything with them, and they just take up space. So, yeah, I've kind of gotten away from collecting anything. Although I guess you can say I collect emptiness now. I'm very fond of that. I like to show it off. People walk into here and they're like, dude, there's nothing in here. I'm like, I know, it's great, isn't it? Um, Violin's very delicate to play. It seems even how you hold it matters. Yeah, dude, that was one of the first things when I started watching some tutorial videos is they're um, very intricate about proper holding technique of the bow specifically. It's very different, I think, from, there's definitely traditional ways to hold and play trumpet, piano, and guitar, but maybe it's just because those instruments have also seeped out into mainstream musics where there tends to be less academic elements to it. It just doesn't seem as rigid anymore. And I found zero violin tutorials that were like, yeah, as long as you get a sound out of it, you're good. Everyone was like this very specific way to hold a bow. And so yeah, it does come off to me as a very delicate way to perform it.
Do you want anything from the grocery store?
Playing some avant-garde metal with the orchestra, that would be interesting. No plans to move out of Florida yet. Here's the thing with that. I plan to make an update video of some sorts about this. I don't know where to put it yet. I know a lot of people complained about me putting personal stuff on the reaction channel last time I made the GoFundMe video. But just the main topics here is that the GoFundMe didn't quite bring in enough of a financial net for me to feel safe pulling a kid out to another state and trying to start new there. So I ended up getting her mom interested in it. And actually, I think even if I didn't, she was, Florida has kind of been treating her pretty bad in the last couple of months. I think she would have come to this conclusion in fact, she's asking if we can go to another country. But with her on board, it's a second set of finances coming in that I do feel a bit better about, and she's searching for jobs outside of Florida, and fingers crossed, we've had a lot of no's, but with any luck, we'll get a yes soon and can go. As for the donations from GoFundMe, it's been sitting in a savings account. I haven't touched it. I promised you all that that would be used for moving out of the country, or sorry, out of the state, and I 100% want to abide by that. So it has not been touched. It's been accruing interest. But there's definitely still a plan. I still have states picked, areas picked. It's just, it's not quite doable yet. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Music instruments, but I do collect music instruments, but it's not necessarily a plan to collect them. It just sort of happens naturally. It's just like, yeah, I want to play that. It's not like, because when I think of collecting, it's more of like purchasing things to show off or to band together, to put into a group. And that's not usually why I buy instruments, so a move like that has to be safe and with good plans, 100%. And I'll be honest, at the time of making the GoFundMe, I was rushing into it, and I was kind of hoping I could just juggernaut my way through it and get lucky on the other side. And I lowballed the GoFundMe goal because I didn't think I was going to hit my actual goal of what I thought would be the safest, and then we still only made it halfway to my lower number. So yeah, just the more I thought about it, I was like, it's not going to be a smart decision. I'll be good for a year tops, maybe, even if that, few months, and then I'll probably have to come back here. And it's like, that's just a waste of the money. There's no point in that. So, most states in the US seem pretty messed up. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like I said, my kid's mom was even like, can we just move? Can we just leave the country? I'm like, I was not going in that direction. I didn't think you'd ever go for that. But yeah, I suppose that's on the table now, too. It'll be interesting, though, living with her again. We're still good friends. We chit-chat. But we haven't lived together for like 3 years now. It's going to be interesting. Hope you got in that high yield. Yep, 4.5. 100%. Because if not, I was going to put it in a CD. Hoping that an opportunity wouldn't arise before the CD period was over. But yeah, 4.5 savings. They're all over the place right now. It's awesome. I remember when savings were like 1% tops. And now it's so easy to find a 4.5. It's not really collecting if you're using them. Yeah, I feel the same thing. Europe is quite nice, but different. There's a whole YouTube video genre of showing culture shocks. Oh, that's neat. That would be really helpful too, to sort of ease the transition. I hadn't thought about that, but let me jot that down. Occupied at a family dinner. Just want to wish you all Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Well, I hope you enjoy yourself, Pear, and enjoy the food. Enjoy the company. Getting into Europe is not easy. Interesting. That I did not know. Huh. Because I kind of figured, there's the. See, here's the thing: is I really only have experience with U.S. immigration, so I kind of assumed it would be similar-ish elsewhere, but it never really dawned on me. Well, let me say, it never really dawned on me that certain countries would be more difficult to get in. Even if you're wealthy and marrying someone, it's still kind of a hell. Interesting. Germany has a new immigrant law to gather workforce because we need people everywhere. So yeah, that's something to look into because we've started our what's the thing, passport process just in case. But it never dawned on me it might actually be difficult not just to leave but to enter somewhere. Well, if nothing else, thank you for making that apparent to me. So at least I know I have an expectation for the size of that hurdle if that's where we end up having to go. What are some of your favorite artist band genres that you discovered after starting the channel? Huh. Does it necessarily need to be tied to the channel itself, like an artist I discovered through reacting, or just through the community in general? Because Hail the Sun, I found out from someone in the community, but I don't think I reacted to them first. And Wargasm is easily going to. Wait, is that the album name or the band name? I think that's the band name. They're easily going to be on my AOTY this year, but again, not something I've reacted to on the channel, just something someone showed me. Yep, Wargasm with the album Vent. Man, I've listened to that album so many times this year. It's so good. But let's see, bands that we've actually reacted to. Oh, well, no, that would, yeah, Vintersea. I don't remember who requested that, but I think that was the only time that I did a reaction, and I was immediately like, I need to listen to more, and I made a second reaction to another song back to back with it, and then I went out and bought both of their albums. Like, that was just phenomenal. Panopticon. Who are they again? Culture shock's going both ways, 100%. Two friends who have lived in Germany for 10 years but still have US citizenship. I don't know the details, but I do know they don't want to go back. Diablo Swing Orchestra is interesting. I don't quite know how to go about listening to them yet. They're very strange, but definitely a band that has piqued my interest since starting this. Unexpect also in the same vein, sort of. I do need to dig more into Troldhagen I really enjoyed Idiosyncrasies. That was a fantastic album. Soken and Ardu is another band that I think I found out through somebody in the community, but wasn't one I reacted to. But they're awesome. Yeah, I don't. I'm realizing I don't follow up on bands too often. I listen to a lot of modern releases, and that's kind of it. And then my stuff that I just like to listen to casually, which is a lot of older stuff. Maybe that, yeah, that's going to be a New Year's resolution, I suppose, for 2024 is to follow up on more bands. Because I am looking at my spreadsheet here and I have a list of music. All Traps on Earth, Bear Ghost's old stuff, Bent Knee, Candlemass's Nightfall specifically. I don't know why I wrote that down, but that's something. Crippled Black Phoenix was a band that interested me. Harvard. Hands Off Gretel. I can't even remember what band that is. Little Sims. That was one of them during Hip Hop Week, was it? That really caught my interest. Yeah, I have a whole list of albums that interest me after checking out single songs, and I don't get to them. So yeah, that's part of my resolution for this year is to get more into that. Peter Gabriel has an album with new music for the first time in 20 years. I think I heard snippets of that when it was posted in the new music channel, and it didn't quite catch my interest. But I might give it another listen. There's definitely stuff I'm getting to now where the snippets interest me. I throw them in my list and I get to the album and I'm like, eh. I get 3 or 4 songs in, skip it. So there's definitely a chance that who I was when I heard the snippets, or maybe even just the snippets themselves, didn't catch me, and that the full album, or maybe what I'm interested in now, might. Jembini. Oh yeah, Pale Dusk. Yeah, Pale Dusk is in my list too. Oh yeah, Saiga Antelope. That was something else I wanted to get to. Others by No One. Pinup Went Down. Orbs. Protest the Hero. Fortress. That is right up my alley. Although, now that I've kind of talked about doing the post-hardcore chronological exploration, I might save that. Wait, Sub Rosa, For This We Fought the Battle of Ages? Why is that in my list? I thought I bought that and listened to it. Plan to read, watch, listen list to everyone's boulders up a hill, really. They are. There is no way to get through it all. And the thing is, too, is I used to have separate spreadsheets for all the different medias, and I decided, because I'm a masochist, I guess, to combine them all into one spreadsheet, which one was a task all on its own, but second, it also really showcased just how much media I want to explore and how long that would take, and how there's no way I could even get through this spreadsheet in its current list in my lifetime, much less what I'm going to add to it as I continue to live in my time. That sounded better in my head. But yeah, Sisyphean task, 100%, especially if you do all of them. Right now, my spreadsheet covers anything visual, documentaries, movies, film, television shows, comedy specials, anything anime. I also have a music area, books, and video games. And it just, there's so much of everything coming out. I think it's impossible, even if you stick to one thing, even if you're like, who's that guy? Anthony Fantano? strictly does music. I feel like his entire life, or at least the persona he presents as himself in his videos, is just music oriented. Every minute of every day is music based, and he still doesn't have the time to listen to everything. It is ridiculous, but it's also awesome. I don't think we've ever lived in a better time for art. Yes, I am. So, as I'm going through my list, it feels a bit systematic. So, I've pulled a couple albums out that I want to give specific time for thought. Because as it stands, I usually listen to an album and then I check the time. Oh, I got time for another one. I'll just throw another one on. I'm sort of binge listening in a way. And there's some albums I know I don't want to do that for. Colin Stetson's right now, Neobliviscaris, and OK Goodnight are the three albums that I'm saving to explore in isolation sometime during my upcoming break. Just really plotting out a couple of hours, listening to them, digesting them, and thinking about them, really exploring them. I have found something really interesting though. I got this from somebody else who is doing a backlog dive. Daryl over on he changed it used to be called Psych of Play. He did a lot of videos exploring the ways that psychology and video games crossed over, but I think it's called Daryl Talks now. Let me check this real quick so I can. Daryl Talks Games is the name of the channel now. And he put out a video a couple weeks ago about finishing his gaming backlog. And one of the things he mentioned in it is that when he finished a game, if he wrote a lot about it, just a paragraph about his experience with it, he would remember it, be able to recall it later on in the year much better than if he just gave it a score or said nothing about it at all. So I've started adding little snippets to little notes next to all my albums in my spreadsheet in hopes that it will help me remember them a little better later on down the year. Might be something people want to check out as well. Internet's busiest music nerd, 100%. I've honestly thought about tackling him on that because I release a lot of music-based stuff and I'm fairly busy as well, but I don't know. I still think I think he still deserves the title. That dude is he puts his nose to the grindstone about music. Well, that's 100% sure. Even if I don't remember, it's nice to be able to go back and look at my reviews and remember. See, that also is nice. Even if it's not just for recollection or like trying to cement it into your long-term memory, you at least have your thoughts of the moment there. I've only started doing it the last month or so, so I still don't have a lot of notes in my spreadsheet, and I'm worried that I'm going to forget a lot of the stuff from earlier in the year. But it's something I'll be doing going forward. It seems to be a really good technique. Do I watch other reaction YouTubers regularly? Regularly? I think that's a key word right there, and I'm going to say no. A vast majority of my YouTube watching, which is already a small amount of my media intake, is knowledge based. Lots of video essays or tutorial videos. Not a lot of reaction stuff. However, I do get into moods where I look for reactions on very specific things. Things probably in a similar vein to why most people watch reaction videos is to kind of get that sharing your favorite thing with a friend element and seeing their face light up and then your face lights up because you're vicariously exploring the song for the first time again. And so it's less about following a specific YouTuber and more about I want reactions of this song and I'll watch like 8 reactors for a specific song. Key of Giebs I used to keep up with a little bit, but the thing is with music reactors, I can really only watch reactions to songs I've heard. Otherwise, there's a possibility I ruin a reaction for the future. And while some people are okay just getting my thoughts on it, even if it's a second or third or 10th time through a track, there's still a very large group of the community that prefers the first time reaction element to my videos. So, but I did comment on a recent one from Kia Jeebs, went back to his channel and saw he checked out, I don't remember what it was. It was like last week or something. But yeah, I do keep my eye on his channel because I do feel like he is one of the better reactors in the sphere, finding a really nice midpoint between the informational side of reactions from when you get insight from professionals in the field and just being purely entertaining. I think he does a really nice job balancing that. Even more so than something like Charismatic Voice, which I think does delve a bit more into the professional and educational side. I'm actually very surprised that Elizabeth, and she definitely deserves all of her fame and all that from, I think she had 1 million recently too, right? She deserves all of it though. She is incredibly skilled at both singing and explaining singing. I've learned a lot from her channels. But I'm actually really surprised that her channel got as popular as it did, given that it does dig into the nitty gritty of singing as deeply as it does. I've always kind of assumed that the more entertaining styles of reactions would be the more popular ones, and I think that's still generally true. There are very few professional reacts to this reactors who tend to get as big as she does. But yeah, like even Kia Jeebs, he's much smaller than her, and he even goes a bit more into the entertainment realm. So I kind of figured he would be one of the bigger channels. Doug Halvering, yeah, he's another one, really good, and man, his ear is fantastic. That is something that Jeebs and I have both uh, kind of, I guess you could say, fawned over, but got a little envious of. Um, is just his ability to hear something and be like, oh, that's a B, and this is the key of whatever, and so they're playing this, and here's the progression. Let me name this out for you, just in real time. The dude just he has a phenomenal ability to hear out chords and notes, and it is just I wish I had that. She's visually really that is true. She definitely has the visual element of reactions down. See, I knew she was a nerd because she did the World of Warcraft song in cosplay. You don't do that unless you're super nerdy. But I didn't know she played RPGs on stream with her community even, which is pretty cool. Virgin Rock is also really good, and she does sort of what I wanted to do near the beginning, which is mix reaction with um, the video essay format. She has her reaction first, then she does some research, she practices it, really digs into it, and then presents her findings in a separate video afterwards. I really like that format. I think her popularity is mostly due to her fantastic camera. Elizabeth's? I mean, she does have a really. Does she film in 4K? Virgin Rock charges 120. See, that makes sense though, given all the work she puts into it. Because it's not just about the, well, like 45 to 60 minutes worth of video you're getting. She does a lot of stuff off screen and learns the piece as well. Um, I think I've seen some people charge that much for just regular reactions, like entertainment reactions. I think 125 for what she puts into it and what you can get out of it is totally worth it. Though I also understand it is a lot of money. For most people. I don't know that I would be comfortable doing it, but I think it's definitely worthwhile from her perspective. Doug does know his music theory. He is a fountain of knowledge. There are sometimes I do wish he would go into it a little bit more and he had a little bit more of an open mind, but he knows what he's talking about. In a lot of ways, he kind of reminds me of who's that music producer guy who is very popular. I don't think he does reactions often. I can't think of his name though. But Doug kind of he feels like yep, Rick Beato, that's it. Dang, Artist Circle, you are on beat with this. I think that's the second time. Steve Albini, I don't even know who that is. I think that's the first name today I've heard that I don't even know. But I kind of see Doug and Rick in the same area. Oh, Steve Albini doesn't seem to have a channel, but he is a big name. He's appeared on a lot of stuff. I showed up for the trivia. Yep, he is. He's yeah, yeah. He's a huge name. I don't know where I was going with that thought originally, but yeah, him and Rick and Doug are kind of put in the same area where they're very knowledgeable about their areas. And if you go listening to them, you can learn a lot of good stuff, but they're also very specific about what they like. They can be exceptionally passionate about something, but they can also be exceptionally harsh. What did I miss here? Nah, I never wound up watching Virgin Rock because the early vids were super cynical. Interesting. I only found out about her later into her channel. It exploded rapidly. And I think Ramona was the one who pointed it out, pointed her channel out to me. And she seemed open-minded ish. I will say that. Definitely a bit apprehensive as someone who presumably has never listened to rock before, or very little from what I understand. Um, but open-minded enough to dig into it. It's good to hear that she's gotten better about it though. Rick Beato hates modern pop music. Yes, yes he does. It is one of my biggest moments of contention. I don't want to start beef with YouTubers, especially not someone as big as Rick. But it is one of my biggest negatives I have with his format, his channel. He can be a really great resource at times, and then he'll put out a video that just I cannot recommend in the slightest, and it makes it difficult for me to recommend the channel as a whole. Mostly like to watch reactions to the film Hereditary. You've talked about that a lot recently, and I think I put it on my list. I'm kind of curious right now if it's on a streaming service. Reddit, Red. That's why. Oh, it's from 2018. It's on HBO right now. I'm not going to call it Max. It's on HBO right now. I think I know somebody with HBO. I might try to watch Hereditary on my break then, because you've talked a lot of positive about it. Some of my favorite reaction YouTubers would be Daily Doug, Key of Jeeves, and Charismatic. Yeah, a lot of the others don't come across as genuine. That is, I don't know if it's that they don't come across as genuine. For me, I don't want to. I don't want to come out and say anybody's faking reactions because honestly, I don't know. But I do find the fact that everything is always positive a bit suspicious. And I did find this one YouTuber one time, and it was low budget, just her sitting on a couch, and she kept looking up at the camera and saying, "This is not good. This is garbage. Why do you people listen to it?" And it was like I had all these views, and all the comments were like, "Your taste is terrible," all this stuff. But like the engagement numbers were high, and I'm like, this makes sense to me. You know, Facebook did all that research and found out that negative engagement is the highest form of engagement as far as ensuring that people comment and stuff like that. And it really surprised me that more reactions weren't like that. But I suppose it's really bad for retention. If someone doesn't like what you say, they're not going to stick around, but they will leave a comment. So that specific video will have high engagement but low retention, and YouTube channels are built on retention. But it did sort of click with me. Why isn't there more criticism out there? It was one of the driving factors into me getting into the reaction sphere. The other was, I really am mad I forgot his name. He was a jazz drummer who did reactions to metal drum cams. And he provided his own information and background on it. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. You know, it was like those surgeon reacts to medical drama and stuff like that, but like for something I could click with. And I was like, this is cool. More people need to do this. And you know, at the time I knew of Alex Hefner, and the Las Vegas guys. I can't think of their reaction channel name. They were like the first. They were like the biggest. I knew about No Life Shack. And so like I knew about reactions, but like it was so rare for me to see a music reaction with information behind it. So the combination of these two was what really drove this forward here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be neutral. I'm going to have praise where it's necessary, criticism where I think it deserves it. I'm going to stay as level-headed as possible. I'm not going to come in here and tell people their music's trash, but I'm not just going to uncritically praise everything. And it really was how all of this came together. It was a smorgasbord of a lot of stuff. Most reaction channels only react to popular music. Sadly, that is true. What did I miss back here? Oh yeah, Beato's clickbait titles. I'm not a fan of those, but you may have noticed some of my titles are getting a bit more clickbaity. I do it on occasion when I feel like it works. But the thing is that clickbait does work, and Beato is a successful YouTuber, so you kind of have to do it. It's hard not to. Is this what the top rock songs are like? And they just spends 10 songs going, oh, this is nice. Do you have some kind of New Year's resolution for the channel? Yes. Be better at it. No, that's ridiculous. Um, I want to get to some of the projects that have been on the back burner for a couple of years, including, as I mentioned earlier, the Music Theory 101. That is getting off the ground this year. I have a couple of resolutions for the Patreon in order to make it a bit more enticing and to flesh out some of the perks. I know that the album review section is not great, and I get it. There's no hard perk to it. It's a gamble. Maybe you spend the money for the tier and then you don't actually get any benefit for it at all. We only pick 4 albums per month, which means most people don't get any benefit from being at the tier other than having a chance. And like I get that. It's frustrating. I'm trying to find better ways to do it. So yeah, it's mostly just about tightening things up. I have some production stuff I want to add to the channel just to kind of spice things up. New Year's resolution number 1 though is that I'll be starting the stream soon thing that kicks off all the streams. This thing right here. There's going to be music for this starting next year. I feel like it's a really bad running joke that the composer doesn't have music in his streams, but the joke ends now. I kind of thought it'd be funny to keep it going forever, but it's a production woe that is beginning to irritate me, and I don't know that the joke is even funny anymore, if it was funny to begin with. Hereditary is the best horror film I've watched in recent years. So much care and detail, worth watching several times. That was, for me, recently, that was Men. Men is just a Man? No, it's Men. It's plural. Just a fantastic horror film from Alex Garland. And the ending is one of the most effective, evocative things I've ever seen. And I can't forget it. And it means so much to me. I kind of wish I did movie video essays because I have a lot to say about it. But, like, I don't have time to do video stuff when there's so much music stuff on the table still to do. Dang. So I dusted my entire room yesterday, and it's my nose is like super itchy. So I know some people are like, I see comments, this dude touches his nose too much. I don't see it too often anymore, but it's still something I have in the back of my mind occasionally, and I'm like, dang, I am touching my nose a lot right now. But my room, is probably a bit of dust sitting around. Oh, hey, dang, wait a second. I don't know if y'all could hear that. I always turn my air purifier off to record, and I just realized it's been going this whole time. Do you pay attention to music review channels outside of Fantano? Professor Sky is a very good reviewer. His reviews are only an hour long, and each review is like a thesis. I don't. Once again, it's a little bit because any review could also influence a future reaction, but it also just never really dawned on me. When it comes to music, I don't really need someone to tell me if something's good. I'm pretty good at discerning that, at least for myself, and I don't need a tastemaker either. Um, I did follow a couple channels for a while just for new release radar. Oh, they check this out. That means, the album's out. But since starting the new music channel, I haven't really needed that either. It is something I'd like to dive into, though, especially for albums I've listened to on my own to get another perspective on, especially if I feel it needs it. Much like to make a film analogy, I'm not going to go look for video essays about a Marvel film, but if I feel like a film has extra depth, I will definitely go look for one, especially if someone has an hour's worth of interesting things to say about it. So Professor Sky, let me put that off. I'm going to look into that. Because, like, Fantano, Fantano's more of a tastemaker. He's an influencer for me. He does a good job of writing reviews and telling me why he liked or did not like something. But his and I taste are so different that usually I just end up disagreeing with him. And so I kind of stopped watching his channel. Loved your collab with Prague School. Awesome. I still chat with him. I'm in his Discord server too. Some really good stuff going on over there. If you don't know about it, I can get you a link. Got to check out Dredge. I've heard of them, but I don't know who they are. I know it's necessary, but Beato implies the opposite of what's in the video. That's what clickbait means. I mean, that's the whole point of a clickbait title, is to present one thing and then to give something else. You gotta eat, so I don't mind if the video's good. I get it. Men was more meta than Men was just, it was something. Oh, y'all couldn't hear that. Interesting. I might leave it on then. It does cool the room just a hair bit, but really it's about cleaning the air. It'll really save me, not necessarily during the streams, but recording Monday to Friday. Keep the air moving a little bit more. Music reviews are very subjective. Yep. I mean, even like when it comes to film, video games, books, I don't really read reviews. A recommendation from someone I know is a lot more important to me than how it got reviewed. As far as I'm concerned, most reviews are part of the marketing arm. They're not necessarily paid for or influenced by the creating arm or distribution center or any of that, but its design is more so, should you give this your attention slash money? Which is why I tend to veer more towards video essays, which are more about explaining what's good about an art or what's bad if you want to turn it into a learning opportunity, more so than if you should give it your time or money or resources. Congrats on 100 streams. Watchmen is an underrated movie. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm going to take some time to ruminate on that thought. I might come back to it before this is over. I have many thoughts on the Watchmen movie. I like Fantano for keeping up with music more than his opinion. Yeah, that's what I used to use him for too. You can't objectively review music anyways. That's true. Any objective review is just going to be garbage. It's Have you ever read a video game review and it was just like the graphics are gorgeous, the gameplay feels good, and I liked my time with it. Maybe not in that word, in that set amount of words, but that is sort of what a lot of reviews tend to be. That plus I ran into some glitches, so I took some stars off of it. And that's why video game reviews just don't click with me. They're a bit too objective, and if you put any of your personal feelings into it, you get yelled at in the comments as if there was any way to objectively review art. It's just, yeah, objectively reviewing things just makes no sense to me. Have you considered putting out fewer videos? I have, and I don't know how. I think that's kind of that's what led to the split recently, where we only did one themed week and then 1 week of whatever I wanted. It was a way for me to do less of a type of video, which was the themed ones, and more of something else. But the idea of putting out less videos in general, I don't know. It's not necessarily a topic of can I do it, because I certainly can, but it pushes my timetables back on everything. And I really like the schedule of releases, even if I don't like the plethora of releases. I totally understand. I put somewhere between 5 and 12 hours of footage out a week on top of a 2 hour stream. No one's keeping up with my releases, at least, and watching every video to its fullest extent. But to do less, it means everything takes longer to get to. So, we have our themed selections, which are picked from Patreon. We have the special selections that are picked from individual people. That makes up a bulk of the selections. Other than that, I've been toying around with doing my own picks, stuff that's interested me from the comments, new music that's interested me. I have newsletters from Napalm Records and a couple others. I'm in some press newsletters, so I can find out when music videos are being released. Um, yeah, that's about it. I see stuff that interests me, or maybe that I think would interest the community, and then I put it up there. But honestly, I think the parts where I pick videos are leaving, because I honestly never know what to pick. It's a lot of stress put on me that I don't like, and the videos that I do pick tend to do poorly against the special selections and the themed ones. So it's just kind of not working. That was something that was going to get announced at the beginning of January when I put out my biannual update of the state of the channel, as well as the 2024 what to expect for patrons post that would go up. Is that the alternating theme weeks thing is probably going away, and I'm going to be exploring some other ways of incorporating a bit more diversity into the music without completely taking hold of an entire week. We'll see where that goes. I have some plans, and we're just going to try them out, I suppose. I've been tinkering with a few of them, and I don't know that I can just come to a definitive answer without some experimentation. So probably January and February are going to have some experimentation in the schedule. We'll see what works and what doesn't. New release Fridays, they're iffy. And I think part of it is that it's more mainstream, which you think would bring in more people, but I think it's an interesting place of usually being mainstream metal. And so it's not mainstream enough to bring in the people who are looking for AC/DC and Metallica reactions, but it's too mainstream for people who want extreme metal on the channel. There are a couple of bands, like the recent The group who does, oh, Rivers of Nile. That video brought in a bit of views, but generally it was kind of iffy whether they actually brought in. But I do like keeping up with new music, so I do think that's going to be a part of it. I just don't know how it's going to be incorporated yet. Oh, that's a really great concept right there, Michael. Reading or listening to music reviews requires an understanding of the tastes of the critic. 100%. And I think that's 100% why publication reviews have kind of become less popular than finding a YouTuber you click with and watching them review whatever you're interested in, movies or music or whatever. It's better to find somebody you understand and can click with and hearing their reviews so that the reviews actually mean something more to you as well. Music reviewers always talk crap about music they don't like and praise music they do like. Yep, 100%. And it's because of, at least for me, there is a blurring of the line. What a review should be. Is it your opinion about it, or is it a breakdown of it? A review of a toaster is going to be highly subjective. What does it do? What is its features? Does it toast? That doesn't work with art though. And so art has to bring in a subjective element, but it also kind of skews the idea of what a review is. And so I don't really like using the word review too much talking about that, especially when you bring in highly objective elements like this. When is reacting to reactions going to be big? Isn't it? I mean, let's big picture this for a little bit. Y'all familiar with the TikTok trend where you see a funny video and then you record yourself laughing to the funny video and then somebody else records themselves to your video of you laughing at someone else's video because they couldn't find the source but they still wanted to do their own reaction? It's not actually reacting to the reaction, but it is using two levels of reaction in the video because as we continue to remix stuff like this, the source is going to get lost. I think this is one of the most terrifying elements of remix culture is losing source material, especially with how terrible pretty much every form of media preservation is at this moment. The people actually making films and books and music and video games don't do anything to preserve them. Eventually, everything's going to get remixed to the point where finding where something came from is going to be difficult. It is a bit of a slippery slope thing. I understand that that might not be in the next 10 years or 50 or even 100, but if we continue this route, I think it can have some negative repercussions on things. We'll do an objective music review channel for each song. I'll write out the key and BPM and that will be it. That's good. What's your favorite thing to do in my free time? Well, really two things. And there's be like super blanket umbrella terms here. I like to make art and I like to engage with art. That's kind of it. And I mean, it's a bit reductive, but it's true. A lot of my free time, personal free time, I'm looking at specifically here time for me to do something by myself because I do a lot of free time with, my family as well. And that's quite varied. I like to do a lot of the stuff there, whether it's, more physical and engaging or more passive, like art. But yeah, a lot of my personal time is playing games, watching movies, reading books, or making music. Those are the two things that I really, it's just art. And I love art. I really do. Going to a museum or an art gallery, wonderful. I just found out that one of my favorite arts exhibits is back open. They closed down a few years back because the creator passed away. And they were down for like 3 years, and her daughter decided to pick it up. And so February, Nude Night in Orlando comes back, an entire art exhibit based around the human body. Every work of art in there deals with nudity in some way. It is just a phenomenal uh, exhibit. And what I think is really cool is it's so counterculture because America is still such a Puritan country when it deals with the human body. And it's just really great to see an entire night and a group of people all come together to appreciate the human body. It's just awesome. And I found out they opened back up, so I'm going to have to go back to that. I feel like there's been a hole in Orlando's art culture since it closed down a few years back. A video with a small view number could still give you subscribers. That is true. New release Fridays pertain to the entire world of music, including esoteric indie stuff. I do need to expand out. I get a lot of my new music stuff from looking at YouTube's front page, um, and from the newsletters from the record labels, but a lot of that encompasses the more popular stuff. Does it get difficult listening to music to just enjoy without analyzing? No, I can certainly turn it off, especially if it's a second or third listen. There's, once I really intricately know an album, I stop analyzing it as deeply. But on the other hand, almost everything I listen to has an element of analysis to it. And it's the same thing with film and books. I'm always trying to find the deeper element to it. But it's not difficult for me to turn it off if I want to. It's especially if it's something stupid, something just fun, like a popcorn flick version of an album, like Trollhagen. If I had listened to that on my own, I'd have very, very little um, analytical engagement with it. I would just really enjoy it. So yeah, it's not difficult, but it is something that I don't do very often, especially on first listens. Is just go pure emotion. That's just not usually how I engage with most art. Some bands react to people reacting to their music. Yep. I feel like analysis is part of the enjoyment with art. For me too, 100%. It is really difficult for me to engage with something on such a pure visceral element. The analysis is such a core part of my appreciation. I seem to be the opposite and it's difficult. Yeah, even like I love this. My partner at the time and I were watching was it Marriage Story with Scarlett Johansson and the dude who played Kylo Ren. I can't think of his name. And we were about halfway through it and we got to a really pivotal scene just between these two characters, a real big dialogue moment that showcased a lot of it. Adam Driver, the artist circle on it again. Oh man. And we just got to this really pivotal scene. It was really engaging, really emotional. And at the end of the scene, we just peaked at this climax. And so we kind of bring the energy down a little bit and we're kind of transitioning to something a little bit lighter to help push the story forward. And I looked over and said, "Hey, do you notice anything about the aspect ratio?" And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "This is a very theatric film." I said, "But it's not shot in super widescreen in the 2 point whatever to 1 ratio." I said, "This is 16 by 9." I said, "This is the same size as our TV. There's no black bars on the top and bottom." She's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Yeah, it gives us a closer sense to things. They take up more of the screen. It doesn't give as wide of a shot. It's not about the environment. It's about focusing on the people." I said, "The aspect ratio tells so much work about what the story is about and what the focus should be." And she's like, "Shut up and watch the movie." But like, I just can't turn this off. This is how I engage with art. This has nothing to do with analysis. It's just being a huge nerd. I mean, okay, fair. That's fair. And I'm a huge art nerd. Like I'm never going to say that I could be a director or somebody who, a director of cinematography or anything. I'm never going to be an artist. My ability to draw and paint is garbage. Music is something that I have an affinity for and do work with, but I love reading about all this stuff and utilizing that knowledge to engage with all these different forms of art. Art is just so it's like the human thing to me. There is nothing else that feels more human than art. And I want to feel it on every level, whether it's just the casually taking it in or understanding why decisions were made to effectively tell specific concepts. Nerd alert! I do the same, just not with aspect ratios. Yeah, even like camera work. I'll notice when we have changes to how the camera works, whether it does pans or zooms or rotations. I've learned the names of different types of transition shots. I don't know why I do this, but actually I do know why, because I'm intrigued by it. I see something, I'm like, what is that called? I have to know. But yeah, I love art. I love knowing why people make art. I love to know why people get attached to art and do what they do in their art. It's just not all art lends itself to being analyzed, analyzed. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I can turn my brain off too. When I watch Marvel, I don't engage with it on that level usually, unless I get really ticked off. Because all it does is really one thing that doesn't make any sense, and then my brain, I can't even help it. It flips into analysis mode, and it's like that doesn't make sense because it creates this plot, and this plot doesn't line up with the story they're telling. And I don't get into the nitty gritty. I don't care about plot holes, right? I'm not cinema sins. I'm not pointing out the dumb stuff for being dumb. But it's when you create something that works against itself. When you change a character's arc in a way that doesn't match who they were or what the story's telling or what even the themes of the story and the message is trying to deliver are. And it just takes one little mishap and I start seeing all these and then I connect them and then yeah, I might go in a little hard on a popcorn flick. But as long as you keep my suspension, no, my disbelief in suspension, I'm fine. Most films, I don't get overly critical if they're not designed to be analyzed. Most. What bands that you haven't seen would you like to see in concert? Enable of Scars. And the thing is, too, is I don't even know that I would like all of their music. They just have a lot of instrumentation up on stage that I would love to see together. Hail the Sun. I'm kind of mad that I didn't get to see them with their New Age Filth tour. They came down here, but it was like October of 2020. Pandemic was still going on. I think at least down here in Florida, everything was open already. There's nothing to be scared of. But I wasn't gonna go out in that. There's probably a few more. I can't think of them. It's not usually something I think about though, because music concerts usually for me are more about engaging with a band I really love, which is why like Hail the Sun works. If The Used comes down here again, I will certainly go see them for like the ninth time. Seeing a band I don't know much about or I've only heard a few songs from, not usually why I would go see one. But unless they have a gimmick. Like Neo Oblivious Scars, they're just immaculate stuff. Oh, another one would be Godspeed You. I would go see a Godspeed You concert. I'm not a big fan of their music, but that feels like a concert I would have to see. And there's something about having the presence of the band there that I think would really elevate not just the music, but just being able to see that. It's not something you get to see every day. Do big music festivals appeal to you? They did at one point in time. We have a local one run by Clearwater, Clear Channel, um, called Earth Day Birthday. And it's pretty much like Rockfest or any of the other ones. They're all run by Clear Channel, I think. Godspeed is incredible live. I bet. That to me just it feels like one of those things that you have to see. But we call it Earth Day Birthday, usually shorten it down to Edie Beatty. And I've done that 3 times. It's not something I think I could do today. Late teens, early 20s, yeah, my body was fine for that. But I mean, now, I mean, water then was already $6, and we're talking about the mid 2000s, $6 a bottle of water. So I didn't buy any water. 24 hour, well, like 12 hours, give or take, in the heat, moshing around with thousands, tens of thousands of bodies around you, just sweating, no protection from the sun. And I didn't drink any water because it was too expensive. I would not do that today. But also just the idea of being outside around people for such a long period of time feels like it. I mean, I can feel my bones creaking just thinking about it. I'm getting too old for festivals. It's also just too much. A good concert's an hour long. I think I could do that, but 12 hours straight of music just feels overwhelming to me now. There's just a lot of physical barriers I feel for that. Oh yeah. Yeah, in America they love to make you pay for natural resources or anything that would make you survive. It's actually a wonder they didn't make us pay for the bathrooms. The first thing I ask is there seating? I don't think I'd sit at a rock concert. I think the last concert I went to was 2019. Went and saw Cradle of Filth and Ginger. No. Yes? No. Ginger and Sumo Psycho? That sounds more accurate. I was still I was still older. I was past my 30. I was like 31, 32. I still moshed. I jumped around. I screamed, sweated. I don't think I would want to sit at a metal concert, but I don't think I could do a whole day. I think that's the thing that really kills me is the length of it, not the thing itself. Rammstein live for Music, Lights, and Fire. That is something that's always flabbergasted me, or just something that I don't get. My dad was real big on that too, theatrics of it. What are you putting on your stage? You have a giant skeleton behind you, a big screen, light shows, fire. I've never gotten into any of that. I saw one show with pyrotechnics and I was kind of bored by it because I felt like the show, it felt more like a theme park show or a circus show more so than live music. The production just kind of put me off. It put me in the wrong mindset and I didn't enjoy it that much. I've always enjoyed smaller venues, no lights, no pyrotechnics, nothing really other than a giant cloth banner behind the band with their name on it and the energy of the band themselves. And it probably stems from my love of jazz and dive bars. Just really getting into the music. I don't know. You may get some fountains, but everything else is overpriced. I don't even remember fountains being at because it was at well, it must. I'm trying to think back. It's we're talking decades here, so uh, it was at a stadium, baseball stadium, I think, in Orlando. But I don't remember being able to go to the bathrooms, like under the bleachers where you would normally sit, because it was infield. They had porta potties out there. I don't think there was even fountains, water fountains out there. Security was passing around small water bottles at a skinny puppy show. I know, I don't remember about the first year I went, but at least the second time I went, people were being turned away at the gate if they had a cooler. You couldn't even bring your own water in. It was to prevent alcohol from coming in, but they sold alcohol there too, so I don't want to hear that. You guys just wanted to maximize your profits. But yeah, bogus. Feeble little horse. Oh, noise. When it comes to noise, Shushu. I wouldn't mind seeing them live. I feel like that's an experience. Another band that I don't like their music too much, but I think just engaging with that would be really cool. I remember that you once said you wanted to make short album review videos. What happened to that? That is still on the table. I have been toying around with the idea of doing traditional, well, not more like a light reaction, right? So if the album's 30 minutes long, maybe like 45-minute video. You get a few of my thoughts, some overarching ideas, but no deep analysis to it. Um, and then having a separate analysis video, maybe a bit more scripted, something more along the lines of what Virgin Rock does, but for an entire album. But I don't know if that would really be worthwhile. I don't know who would watch the original reaction. That would be more, it would be more like the live streams where I have like 5 to 10 minutes of thoughts. I don't know if that would actually engage people. I do want to make the short form album reviews though, especially if I don't, even if I don't record the reaction part to it. Something like what why can't I pronounce his name? Fantano. Yeah, something like what he does, or any other general music YouTuber. A nice 10, 15, 20-minute video about an album, my thoughts on it, and a little bit more analysis since that is my shtick. Especially since I've listened to so much good music and I write these notes down, right? Because I said I want to try these ideas to maximize my memorability of what I'm listening to. And I'm like, man, I could make something out of this. There's a lot of meat to chew on here. I could make a video about this, but it's time. Hey, Carol. Carol? I hope I pronounced that right. How is it going? How is it going for you? It's going great for me. Chilling, having some cool discussions. Here they accept water bottles inside venue if you remove the cap. The aim is to prevent people from throwing filled closed bottle at people to stage. That makes sense. I think the short form album review is enough, especially if you include little soundbite snippets. That is something I've actually worked on trying to do this live. I'm like 50% there. But it requires a lot of forethought. I have to know I need to pull this up later during the reaction, snip it, and I have like a script that kind of works to create a snippet of it. It's the pulling it back up later that I'm having a lot of difficulty with, and I don't know 100% that OBS is capable of doing this. I think I've hit a hard wall with what I'm able to do live, but I keep pushing the limits of what OBS can do, and I think I can keep pushing it here. I just got to find the right plugins for it, or alternatively, find the right scripting for it. There's I can program my way around this is how I keep approaching all of these hurdles, and I'm kind of hoping I can do that. Doing that live sounds more intense. It is 100%, but I do think it's something that would greatly help my channel. I know my memory is good enough to remember what I'm talking about, but maybe the listeners isn't, or maybe it is, but I'm just not describing it in a way that would jog their memory to remember what it is. I think it's really important to be able to play back what I'm talking about for a second, and it's a puzzle I've been trying to solve. I haven't had a lot of time to put towards it, but I've had enough where I can feel the gears starting to grind together. I thought it's more like you listen to an album one or even more times privately than you tell us what you like and didn't like. Yeah. Bluntly, I think your channel would explode if you had a camera like charismatic voice and diversified your genres a bit. Um, I am curious, what's wrong with my camera? I'm gonna pull up charismatic voice real quick. Because I'm sure she has a 4K camera, and I'm sure she has a DSLR or a mirrorless instead of a webcam. But aside from being a bit blurry, I she's reacting too much. That's interesting. How can someone be so excited about everything all the time? I don't think that's Oh, she does have a really nice natural blur going on, which means there's some focus going on. There's a lot of, yeah, I'd wager she has a mirrorless 4K camera. Natural depth of focus. Does she doesn't record in 4K though. No, she doesn't. These videos are 1080p, which is even more curious. I mean, it's good enough for sure, but if you have a 4K camera, why wouldn't you record in 4K? Hmm. Her videos look like movies. Okay, so that's actually not the I mean, it is. The camera does some lifting there, but um, it's more her set dressing, the lighting she uses, a lot of it's lighting, and the color grading that she puts on, all the post processing she does on her video, which I do a lot of post processing, that thing. Oh, I can't. I really wish OBS would up. Oh, I think I can do it if I go into studio mode. All right. Oh, I don't do it as much here. I mean, you can see a little bit of a difference. This is how the camera normally looks. Very washed out, very gray. This is with my color correction. But on my recording profile, I also have a color grading palette going on, a LUT. And I think there's another filter I use. But yeah, hers is definitely very professional, and I'm coming at it from an amateur, someone who's never done visual editing. I mean, this is no different than audio editing. I know how to make the music. I don't know how to make it sound good. It's the whole production side. And it's similar here. I know how to get in front of a camera. I don't know how to make it look good. It's techniques I've picked up along the way. She has an entire production team. That doesn't surprise me given that she has 1.5 million subscribers. I totally would too. In fact, if I hit a million and presumably brought in more money, that this would definitely be enough to support a team, I'd probably have an editor too. Not edit it too wildly, but that would be an easy way to be able to showcase music is if someone else just offload that work. Hey, I'm talking about this, minute 131. Put that in there before I talk about it. That kind of thing. I wouldn't have to worry about doing it live. But yeah, I do want to learn a little bit. The thing is too is that she has a really nice set, and it sets a weird word for it because it's just literally what's behind her. It seems like this is just what she's always had there, anyways. Although that whole bookshelf thing looks new. I don't remember a framing around her atlas before. That looks pretty cool. But yes, it's set up very well, and the depth of field effect does wonders. I don't have any of that because I like my room, as we explored this earlier. I like empty space, which is why I use the green screen, and that's just never going to look as professional, I don't think. But there are probably some visual tweaks I could make. The problem is, like, unlike music, I can be like, okay, this sounds bad. I don't know how to fix it, but at least I can describe it. Hey, can someone help me fix this problem? I don't know how to fix the visual production. I don't even know how to put into words what I think is off. I just know that it looks amateur. And I guess one of these days I should just go on Fiverr and find somebody who's going to sit with me for an hour and help me tweak my webcam settings. Although, honestly, also going back, here's another thing. Going back to what Signups was talking about is makeup. I could probably get rid of the dark bags and the splotchiness and stuff like that with a little bit of makeup and end up me presenting myself a bit more professional as well. My production values have increased. Oh yeah, 100%. The crisperness is due to the camera. We started on a Logitech C920, I think. And honestly, we'd still be here because I was fine with that. It was okay. And then it died. And I now use a Razer Keo Pro. And I laugh at this every time I look at the camera. I try not to do it too often during recording because I try to make some eye contact sometimes. Um, but right on the top it says wide angle AF lens, and I always read that in the slang of it. It's wide angle AF. That's the kind of lens we have, and it cracks me up every time. It's such a stupid little thing, but it's so funny to me. Uh, but yeah, this camera I think bumped everything up quite a bit. Your video quality is totally fine. That's good to know. Yep, the channels that do have production teams stand out, and yeah, it's one of the things that money helps with. I can't see a fancy recording setup helping. I have looked, I know, okay, so here's the thing, a lot of, even this right here, the way that I have all this laid out, and like the animations, and even this having a large box here and a big box up there that I can swap between, all of this I got inspired from a buddy of mine who did video game streams. And he went out and he bought 3 Blackmagic Pocket 4Ks, which are like 1,300 a piece. And he has a whole setup. Like he's got like the newscast thing where he can like flip over here and then it'll switch to that camera. And so like he can be positioned different ways. It's a phenomenal setup. I absolutely love his streams, look immaculate. Nobody else streams like him. And it's funny because he only streams to friends and then he stopped streaming, which I thought was kind of bizarre because easily, like I said, some of the best streams I've ever seen. He also made music too. Wonderful stuff. Uh, Lovely synth. What is it? What's that synth music that's kind of darker? Synthwave. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. Watching his streams, the crispness of it, the 4K at 60 of those Blackmagic Pockets. I want one so bad. But it's true. The camera really doesn't do that much heavy lifting anymore. I've reached a point where the camera is good enough and everything else is going to be exterior production. I don't think people are here to look at your pores. I'm not even here to look at my pores. Production value does make a difference, though, as Lebowski says, 100%. Brian going off topic? I see. It's funny you say, makeup for starters, but it's actually kind of true. Like I can do beautification makeup. I know my way around eyeliner, eyeshadow, um, mascara, nail polish, uh, foundation. I know all that. But how to make myself look natural? No. I would need a starters thing for that. I think it was curated for the channel. The Atlas itself has something to do with the vids on her channel. Does it? I always kind of assumed that the Atlas was places that she sang in the past. Hmm. It's mostly lighting. Put a light to the side instead of right in front. You might not be as bright. I do have 2 lights. And they're off to 30-degree angles. But I have wanted to play around with, these are very old lights and I don't think they're fantastic. They're either super bright or they do nothing. But they do a really good job of lighting. But I have thought about getting a more professional. These are like 15 bucks a piece. They're little tiny boxes of LEDs. It's like 6 by 12 on each with a diffusion lens in front of them. They're fine. They work. But the diffusion lenses really aren't great. Production values have definitely increased since you started. Oh yeah, I already read that. Backgrounds, fonts. Yep. I do need to update the little pop-up that comes up when I have the special selection. I wanted to do something else with it. I was inspired by 16-bit RPG text boxes, and it just dawned on me the other day because it looks flat. I'm like, I don't know. And it just dawned on me that those usually had a nice, like 3D-ish border around them. So I think I am going to revisit those soon. But I do like the unification. I know somebody was like, I missed the old just displaying the comment up. And those were nice, but they weren't uniform and they weren't always good. Big messages tended to take up big parts of the screen. I'd have to put them in different places, and I just prefer being able to rely on something. Can't be off topic if there's no topic. I like the way you think, Ramono. How to make myself looks natural. Sounds like an oxymoron. 100%. Birtle, I 100% suggest it. If nothing else, you learn a lot of really cool skills that might be applicable elsewhere. There are a lot of little things that go into video creation, whether you do it one shot live like I do, or you go into more of an essay scripted thing and you bring in a writing component to it. There's a lot of little things, and having to do all of them instead of outsourcing them out to different teams is very eye-opening for just production and creation in general. Even if you end up only making one video and it's terrible, it's still a really good experience, I think. She starts and stops a lot. It really depends on how in depth you want to get to your point across during a section of the music. Since this isn't a music stream, I want to tell everyone to go listen to Give Me a Little Bit by Supertramp to boost the season spirit and have a great time the rest of the year. Why does that sound familiar? It's just the editing that scares me. Deciding what needs to cut and save makes me unsure. Well, don't. Just leave it all in. I don't decide what gets cut and saved. I probably should sometimes. There's definitely parts that, maybe not the strongest parts of my video. But honestly, I think unless you're trying to achieve the YouTube edit, which is just like constant talking all the time, every break needs to be smash cut into the next sentence. If you pre-think it out, have a nice script to go on, and you're a decent speaker, you don't find yourself rambling off topic too often, you probably don't have too much to cut. And you should know what isn't as strong. It should be pretty present. But if nothing else, like I said, it's worthwhile to give it a shot. Maybe you get up into the editing and you're like, I don't know, this is overwhelming. You did it for fun anyways, But maybe you get it to the editing phase and everything becomes clear. Oh, this definitely needs to go. All right, Damien, have a good rest of your day. It is the 2-hour mark. I'm going to be wrapping this up in a little bit. Just doing the parts you feel like is excellent advice for starting any artistic endeavor. Yeah. You can always incorporate the rest later. That's the thing, too, is it's going to be your first video. You're going to make mistakes. I think that's the best thing I can tell anybody. I told my kid this the other day when she did her play, very first main speaking role, top credits for it. Same thing that I tell anybody new to music, and same thing we're going to tell you trying to get to this artistic element, creating videos. Oh, nice. Have fun with that arrow. You're going to make mistakes. In fact, you will never have a perfect performance or artistic output. Everything is going to come with caveats. Oh, I definitely will. We do have one more week, though. We're going to finish up this Reimagine Covers week. The break starts next time, but we're not doing a live stream next week, so I'll take the early well-wishings. But yeah, It's scary to get into, but as long as you kind of come to terms with the fact it isn't going to be perfect, I feel like that helps a little bit. It doesn't really relieve all the stress for sure, but give it your best and build from there. I mean, that's it's really the best advice I can give. If you don't try, you don't even know. And I know that that's just go do it and see how it turns out isn't the best advice for getting over anxiety, but it's honestly the best I have. And for some people that works. Oh, Arrow's modding for Doug. Awesome. Maybe I'll dip over there, check out what's happening for a second. I'll have a little bit of music reactorception after I get some food that I. That's the only thing that sucks about doing this. This is honestly the best time slot, I think, for everybody. It has caveats for everyone, I think. And it's certainly not the best for everyone, but it's the one that I can work in best is this 11 a.m. EST time slot. But it does run me right over lunch. I tend to eat an hour later than I do every other day. Oh, interesting. So it's like a little quick group huddle. That's interesting. Yeah. A little bit of a peek into what's going on. That's cool. Touching base every week. I like that. Oh, yeah, Lebowski. Do you enjoy folk Americana singer-songwriter type music? Generally, no. Making mistakes is just grinding for more XP. Yep, that's one way to think about it. It may be boring, it may be not fun, but it's the only way you can level up as a novice, as a level one. It's a it's a genre that I like in spurts. And usually it has to have a little bit more musical meat on it. There are certainly singer-songwriters that appealed to me. Joanna Newsom is one. Um, Dang, who was that artist we had? We listened to a song, it was 4 parts long. Each part was the same motif, but was done differently. I really can't remember. That was just an amazing track, though. And it was about like relationships. And she was exploring like the 4 seasons, the 4 different types of relationships through 4 different distinct vibes of the same motif. And it was gorgeous. I don't remember who did that. I don't even know how to look it up. Who's another singer-songwriter? Even like Tom Waits, right? I think this might have been why you brought it up because of yesterday's album reaction. I've liked Tom Waits in the past. Joni Mitchell, is that who it was? There is no way. No, I don't. We have not reacted to a Joni song yet, so I don't think that's it. Unless she went by a different name for that track. Unless I misspelled it. I can't believe I misspelled it though. Someone would have called me out on that. Yeah. I don't have the last name either. I wish I could remember who that was though. That was just a phenomenal song. Anyways, and like Tom Waits, I've enjoyed his songs in isolation. They don't always click with me, but they create interesting conversation. And usually that's all I want out of music. I don't care if I like it or not. I want it to be interesting. I want conversation to come out of it. I want it to be art. But singer-songwriter also, especially when we talk about, oh, I've listened to her online. Okay, that's why. Oh, just last week too. Oh man, that shows how good my memory is these days. Um, but like especially when we get to like folk and Americana, the music is typically very simple in order to create a foundation for the poetry or the story on top. I have to be in a very specific mood for simple music. And it's why when it comes to singer-songwriter types, I tend to go towards the more evocative or avant-garde side of that. Oh, who's Tori Amos? Mm-hmm. She's another one that stands out to me. I need it to be musically interesting alongside the focus on lyrics, and it's just because I'm just not a huge fan of lyrics, at least not at first listen. Most of the songs that sit with me long term are the ones that are musically engaging and have lyrics that grab me. But for a first time listen, it's got to be musically interesting for me. You don't really consider Joanna Newsom folk or singer songwriter? Yes, I completely agree. Baroque pop is usually more accurate for her, but she is frequently listed as a singer songwriter, so that's why I bring her up. But it's definitely one of those instances where it's sort of like post black metal is more likely to click with me than black metal, and I bring it up when people ask me what kind of black metal I like. It's there's still a foot in the door to the genre. Funny, YouTube can't accept words in chat. Yep. Have you experienced in programming? Oh, yes. Check out Algorithm Pointer Reaction. They have albums. Come on in. Track names like Brute Force Deadlock. I gotta check that out. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'll get you some food. I'm really hungry. I'm starving. Okay. Well, I'm 10 minutes over anyway, so I'm just gonna. No point in putting this on a be right back break if after I come back, I'm just going to say bye. Yes, I do have experience in programming. In fact, I have a degree, an associate's degree in computer science, and all of my minors, no, not minors. What is it called? Starving. All my electives were languages. I learned HTML, Java. I did three courses, I think, on C. And I have a few video games, very hobbyist, not for general consumption video games under my belt as well. Um, so, yeah, an entire album with tracks like, I mean, the album title is Pointers. So, like, that already, knowing that it's programming based already has my attention. I'm going to put that off to the side. Algorithm pointers. That's probably not going to give me the album. Oh, it did. Well, it gave me a music video, which is good enough. All right. All right, Ramona, I don't know if you're still here, but have a great week for you. Everyone else, I think I'm going to say goodbye. This was not a very good Q&A, I suppose. We had some nice we had a nice few cues in here, but really wasn't what I was expecting it to be. I was kind of expecting it like the last Q&A, which was just a constant stream of cues. This one just ended up being a hangout sesh where we talked about stuff and I got to ramble, which is honestly fine by me. Just feels a little, I suppose, less special. But we didn't have a lot of viewers in here either, and we kind of expected that early on. Like I mentioned, a lot of the people in here are the usuals, and it makes sense that they might have less questions because a lot of you show up in Discord too. If you have a question, you just ask me. I suppose that's why Q&As might not work in general. I'm a bit too much of an open book and a bit too active in the community. Crusty regulars. All right, well, that's going to wrap this one up. I don't know why I clap sometimes because I know clapping is so much louder than my voice and it always spikes my Nuggies alert. I don't know what we're... Oh, yeah, I think I'm going to reheat her food from last night, which was some lo mein and some fried rice, I think. I'm just going to have my usual nice cup of oatmeal. That's the best lunch. All right, y'all. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy whatever time there is left. I don't. Some of y'all are still in the morning. Some of y'all are getting ready for bed. Just had dinner. Get stoked for this week. We got some more weird covers coming up. I hope to have some more interesting stuff like Yes brought to the table. It's a really nice conversation we have with that. And yeah. And if I don't see you again, which I probably will, a lot of you are on Discord, I'm down for more. I'm always down. That was the whole point of this week, was weird covers, and I feel like 2/3 of what we got so far was pretty standard. Instrumentation change, but nothing like what Yes is what I was expecting. I wanted stuff that was just so far from the original. Even if it doesn't quite line up with what I wanted musically. I had my criticisms of Yes's track, but that's what I was hoping for. Just wildly changing something, taking it a brand new direction. All right. If I don't see you all though, have a fantastic winter. I was gonna say rest of the winter. Fantastic rest of your December. Any holidays that you have a great time with that. And we'll catch back up on the first week of January. All right. Catch y'all later.